Welcome back to Talking Lead. This is episode number 17. Our sponsor for our bandwidth is Firearms Radio Network. How's it going, Left Hand?
Going great, man. We've had some great news this week.
Yes, we have.
What's the great news?
Win for us in the gun legislation.
Yeah, we had a win for us in the gun legislation.
Now, remember, everybody, this is just a battle that we won. It's not the war's not over. They're going to bring this back up again. I guarantee it.
Well, they've already said they're going to. They're not going to let it lie. And, we can't rest in thinking that they are. They'll bring it up and keep bringing it up until something gets done or some sort of compromise.
Very true. So what'd you do with gun? Well, why am I asking you that? I did the stuff with you with guns this week.
Yes, you did.
We had a pretty awesome day on Tuesday, didn't we?
We went to our Talking Lead compound, shooting compound, zombie range.
Had a little shootout, and we did the Hickok parody. That's pretty fun. If you hadn't seen that yet, you can go to our YouTube channel and see. We didn't do it to make fun of Hickok. He did put out a request for all the fans to do a parody of him. People
who don't know Hickok, go to Hickok 45, watch his videos, and you'll get the gist of our parody.
I'd like to know more about this gun range you guys are talking about.
If you don't...
Why don't we
I was going to say, if you don't recognize the voice, of course they don't recognize the voice.
Or it probably sounds like me. Hey, Zeke, why don't you introduce our guest?
It'd probably be more fitting for you to introduce him, considering y'all have the same
ladies
blood.
and gentlemen, he just flew in from Bloomington, Illinois, and boy, are his arms tired.
Wow.
My brother, Cheap Shot.
Hello, everybody.
How's it going, Cheap Shot?
Good.
Good.
I'm glad to finally see the inner sanctum where the magic happens.
Talking Lead Studios.
Yes.
The lair
in the greater Nashville area.
It's awesome.
The secret lair.
Got all the sound.
It's our high rise, man.
Oh, it's cool.
We can see
I haven't
all
figured out what this is. Is this for when you're doing video?
Mm-hmm. It reflects. Usually, I don't have that.
That's your reflector. One of your reflectors, kind of a homemade.
It makes me.
No, that's high dollar.
It's sorry.
It's high dollar reflector right there.
Okay,
it's a piece of foil.
Studios.
It's a piece of foil wrapped around a lamp with the shade off.
But it works. Whatever works.
It works. Yeah, it does.
That's cool. It took me a second to realize what that was and what it was for. You guys don't have your cameras in here tonight, so it was kind of throwing me off.
Yeah, we had a good time out at the out at our little range. It was a good day. It was supposed to storm. Didn't even rain once on us the whole time. I got to really do some fun stuff with my birthday
present.
Kept it
cool because the wind was blowing and. Still like 80 degrees, but it was comfortable.
For those of you who don't have YouTube or don't do YouTube and don't have Facebook, birthday present I talked about last week. Didn't get the Benelli Vinci, but I got something even sweeter. I am the now proud owner of a Smith & Wesson Performance Center Custom 1911.
Sweet.
It's awesome. Chambered 45 ACP. It's the one with the custom blue hand grips and the lightning channels on the slide and custom hammer, custom trigger job. That thing's nice.
It's a nice one.
I love this thing.
I just got to handle it a minute ago, and it is.
So we had fun with that. Do you like shooting it? You shot it a couple times.
Yeah, I did. I mean, it was dead solid, perfect.
You shot your first shot with it was about a 50-yard shot on a 2-liter, and you nailed it. First shot.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
Iron just with the sights. You didn't do
just iron sights.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool.
It's got competition sights on there too, which helps a little bit. But
I licked my thumb and rubbed it on the front sight.
Did you have your glasses on?
Before I shot.
What movie was that?
even with a cataract in my left eye, I still nailed it.
Wow.
What was that movie? There was a zombie movie where the guy kept licking the front sight.
Oh.
Was it Dawn of the Dead 2 or something?
I don't know. It comes from those old westerns where they used to do that.
Yeah, I've seen people do that
too.
show. I always wondered what that was about.
It supposedly makes the front sight shine so you can focus better on the front sight.
That was in the days before the little
dots.
Luminescent.
Before white paint?
Yeah.
Before paint, yeah.
Exactly.
I think they had paint back then.
Before iron oxide and all those things.
You remember was it Outlaw Josie Wells where he went to that town and he painted it red?
No, it wasn't Outlaw Josie Wells. I just watched that a couple of nights ago.
Which one was that? The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. That's the one it was.
Yeah.
And he painted the town red because those bad guys were coming back to shoot up the town.
I saw it not long ago. I can't remember that. I don't think it was Good, Bad, and Ugly. I think it was one of the others.
I think it's Good, Bad, and the Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
Was
Good,
it?
Bad, and Ugly.
I could look it up. It's right.
It wasn't Pale Rider and it wasn't Outlaw Josie Wells because I've watched those both this week.
But that one guy, you remember Every Which Way But Loose?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What was his sidekick's name in that movie? Not the orangutan, but the other guy.
The other
His
guy,
best buddy.
Yeah.
He'd turn his hat around backwards.
Yeah.
He's been in a lot of those old westerns with Clint Eastwood
Yeah.
too. He was the bad guy.
Mhm.
He's a pretty good bad guy, but he's a doofus in the.
Yeah, he was one of
Every
those
which way, but
long
at least
established character actors that had been in a lot of
Yeah.
westerns and things like that over
And
the years.
after those, I think he was pretty much labeled a doofus after that. He kind of got keyholed into being a doofus.
Yeah.
Another thing I've been doing, I got a new app on my phone. It's a gun disassembly app. It's pretty slick.
Gun disassembly.
We actually had a
app.
listener give us this idea on YouTube. He gave us a little comment on there. Basically, it has just tons of guns, and you can disassemble them on the app. And then as you disassemble it, it becomes like a game, and you can see how proficient you are at disassembling and putting them back together.
Now, you're on iPhone. What's the name of the app?
Gun disassembly.
Gun disassembly.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
So
a
look
pretty
that
slick
up.
little app.
So is
It gives you
like
it gives you a
got
few
a database of how to disassemble how many, like thousands of different.
thousands. The first 10 are free, and then you have to buy them after that. Groups of them.
Hmm.
That's pretty slick. I mean, revolvers, SMG. Yeah,
Have you tested it out?
yeah. The Glocks definitely are.
I mean, how hard is it to disassemble a Glock anyway? I mean,
I'm just saying the accuracy is dead on. I mean, it's exactly what you got to do, and you have to do it right on the app. And then there's a couple of 1911s and just tons of AR style rifles, and
see if it's got the
Hunting rifles.
Kel-Tec Sub 2000 on there because they are a bear.
I'll check that out.
That'd take up half the database telling somebody how to disassemble one of those. Talk about your other new toy you got.
Oh yeah, I got a Remington 7mm 700. That thing that's another dead-on accurate rifle.
Mm-hmm.
It's also the one that CNBC did that documentary on.
That shoots by itself.
Yeah, the one that shoots without pulling the trigger. But then Remington came out with a video recently. I think it was either this year or the end of last year, showing documentation of all the different things that CNBC didn't report.
Right.
And didn't report right. Like the one kid that was killed by it going off. They didn't report in the documentary that all the different parts were rusted. You could tell where the trigger had a trigger job done, and different things were removed and put back in the wrong way.
It had been modified.
It had been modified
by a novice, obviously.
Oh yeah. So I mean,
Well-
and then there was another thing. There was a gunsmith that
Why would
actually
they put that in a documentary? Because then nobody would watch it.
exactly. But then they interviewed a gunsmith that was one of the engineers on the original Remington Model 700 rifle project. And he was just bashing it left and right, and then come to find out, he's been bashing and suing
Well,
tons of companies like crazy.
Disgruntled
Yeah,
employee, or
so-
he's just trying to get a payday.
We shot it a good bit Tuesday and never had a single hitch. Not to mention the Marines have used it as their sniper rifle for I don't know how many years.
Their Sniple.
Sniple? Yeah, their Snapple rifle. It's their little fruity drink rifle.
I bet they would argue that point.
But yeah, it's an awesome rifle. First shot,
I enjoyed it. It shot a lot better than I was expecting.
it's got some kick.
Had a little kick. It wasn't that bad.
Plus, we were standing up. We weren't using a gun rest or anything. We were just standing up.
We shooting like real men.
Yeah, we're doing the real
In the
country strong
2-point
way.
stance.
Heck yeah, it was awesome.
But yeah, I mean, it was already sighted in and everything. It was good to go. What, about 100 yards that we were at?
Yep, we marked it out 100 yards. I hit 2 out of 3. You hit 2 out of 3.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's not too shabby. And both of us, I think we missed our first one. So it was just a matter of getting a...
No, I nailed it on the first one.
Was it your first one?
Mm-hmm. I missed the second one.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
So it was a fun rifle. We had some fun shooting that. So yeah, good time out there. Other than that, that's about all I've done with guns this week. I did some ammo hunting as usual. Academy was out. Walmart was out. Little gun shops were out. You found any this week at all?
Have I looked this week? Yeah, I got some. Remember? Yeah, I got some 40.
Oh, that's right, when we went to Walmart.
out to Walmart. We
Well,
got
I
some-
guess I take that back because I did buy some 45 for the.
Yeah, and you found some
for the Smith &
45.
Wesson.
You got some
Yep.
jacketed hollow points.
Yep, very
but
good
there
rounds.
wasn't, very much, but we got.
But
all
you got
we
some.
had.
We got to start storing up. We've got a training with our guest from last week, James Yeager. We've got a
good.
training with him the end of May. I got a few more boxes to get.
Do you think he thought I meant when I was talking about the 380? Because remember that look on his face when I was telling him, I was stocking up for his class. I found some 380.
Oh, when he started giggling?
Yeah.
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 No, I think he knew you were joking.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm taking the 9 when we do that. I'm going to do the Glock 17 on that class. But I'm ready to go. I've got my ammo. I was going to do it without you when we first had it scheduled. Then you started that whiny
Be that way.
crap, so I put it off.
Whiny crap. Thanks, bro.
We're not going to do it together.
It's for show content. That's why we did it.
No, I think it was better that we met him first before we went down there and did it.
Yeah,
We'll
it's
get
going to be a
lot
good
more out
time.
of it now. That
I
he
really
knows.
enjoyed last week's show.
knows
I
how to
think
take
that was
us.
a good,
Thank you.
a good thing that y'all did.
Thank you.
Redeem his reputation some.
Well, we hope so.
Yeah.
I mean,
We've had some good feedback on it. We even had a couple of listeners email in saying that they couldn't stand him before.
Mm-hmm.
They liked his videos for a while, and then he got to where they didn't like him, and then especially with the video that came out, they couldn't stand him. But then after listening, they realized he knows what he did wrong. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
He's just, kind
I
of
think
shot
the
out of the
lesson-
cannon, and that's the way he is, and that's the way he's always going to be.
I
And,
think the lesson is everybody has moments where they kind of fly off the handle, and it's just unfortunately they had a camera running at the time, and
well, he
and
did.
then you edited it, and then you pressed publish. Just kidding,
Well,
you.
not only that, I mean, he got
it was a lack of good judgment.
So did you do anything with guns this week, Cheap Shot? I guess we'll
No.
count fake guns too, because we know what you're into.
Oh yeah, well yeah, I slung a little lead on the old video this week.
Slung some ones and zeros.
Yeah, I got all my diamond camo for all my assault rifles.
I have no idea what
Black
that means.
on Black Ops.
Black Ops.
Oh, gotcha.
Now you can't lie because we have seen that you have been on and you have
Yeah,
played.
you
that.
have.
I have
the game.
played it, but I don't know anything about getting camo for
You
things.
have to
I don't get
max
into
out
that.
the weapons like twice and unlock all the camo.
Oh, gotcha.
And then you get diamond for that class of weapon. You get diamond camo for it. So that just
Is that like
all
the
that
top of the line?
all that proves is that I spend way too much time on video games. is
I was
all that
about to
proves.
crack that joke, but you did it for me.
That's all
awesome.
it does.
He is self-aware.
I know when my kids are on Xbox, all of a sudden they'll come in and go, "Daddy, who's Cheap Shot? It keeps saying he's online."
Yeah, Cheap Shot has a lot of time on his hands up there in Bloomington by himself. So.
Gotcha.
Speaking of, you've been up there long enough now, probably to get a good feel of the climate, not weather climate, but just the gun environment up there. Being around those people up there, what kind of
Well, I can
vibe
tell
do you
you,
get from those
I can tell
people?
you from a general sense of things. I haven't talked to a lot of people specifically about the subject, but I have noticed different things and different things that have been said in the media, and there are plenty of people in Illinois that value their gun rights, and I think they would, if you had to divide this politically, they would come down on the right side, and where if you would categorize Chicago and I'm just speaking off the cuff. I don't know specifics, but I get that sense that's kind of the way it is. It's I think the most from where I'm at, I think most of the folks are probably on the side of gun rights, and there's going to be a difference in any area that you're in, but I think for the most part they are.
We'll have to hook you up with some of the gun guys. They're up there in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're around Bloomington or not, but I do want to give a shout out to a listener of ours. We're going to try to have a little meetup today. He was driving through from his home state to Alabama, and we weren't able to, but just wanted to say hey to Robbie Lee.
What up, Robbie Lee?
Safe travels, and
Sorry
maybe
we
we'll
missed
be
you
able to
today,
do it
man.
next
We were
time.
booked up,
Yeah, these days are kind of crazy for us getting ready for the show.
but we do appreciate you listening, man.
Time for the jackwagon train. Our jackwagoneer of the week is pretty obvious, and our thoughts and prayers go out to all the victims and the families of the victims from the Boston Marathon. Whoever the jackwagons were that pulled that off, they need to be on something
For whatever
worse.
reason.
They need to be underneath the jackwagon train.
Yeah.
They don't even get to ride
There's
on
no
it.
doubt they're the jackwagons of the week.
Yes, they are.
I saw that there was talk about whether to call this an act of terrorism or what it should be called, and it's like it really doesn't matter. These people, whatever their reason was or their
No
motivation
matter who
was,
did it, it's terrorism.
Yeah.
It's an act of terror.
yeah, I mean it's
No
just
matter who did it,
Yeah.
for what reason,
It's
it's
just-
an act of terror.
it's just evil.
And you know what's awesome about this whole thing? And I know people are going to hear that and cringe at first, but let me finish. You see such an evil, horrible, ridiculous, sick act happen, and you kind of go, oh my gosh, what is wrong with humanity nowadays? But then you wait 5 minutes and you see all the just random civilians and police and firemen and military running towards where the bombs just went off to help.
Yeah.
And it kind of it makes you realize that, there are going to be bad guys. There's always going to be bad guys. There's always going to be evil doers in the world. But the good's going to win out every stinking time.
Well, it shows you that the human condition isn't as bad as the media makes it out to be.
Exactly.
Well,
Everyone's not out to get everyone.
Human nature is basically good, I believe. And,
I agree.
And that's why, if you see something like that, it's just natural for people to respond like that.
It's ridiculous that the media only points it out in times of crisis.
So, yeah, it's, keep your thoughts and your prayers on all the victims and their families.
And finding the jackwagons that perpetrated this heinous act of terrorism.
Somebody out there knows something. They should be
they're piecing it
letting
together.
their conscience be their guide.
And then right when we nailed our jackwagons last week, we turned around and had a little victory. We already mentioned it.
We need to give a little more exposure to the topic that we kind of led the show off with, and this was a huge win for us, and we need to, I think we need to give it a little more due process than what we did. So,
and if you don't know, the bill, the gun control bill was shot down.
The assault weapons ban.
It was shot down, and also the background check provisions were shot down. They are talking about bringing it back at some point. So remember, don't rest. But
it's not dead, but it's we've won this battle, and we got to keep up the fight. We got to keep calling our senators, our representatives, and letting them know our stance on it, and that we haven't forgot, and we're not going to forget.
It's interesting. Last week we had all the senators that we thought were pro-gun flip-flop and stop the filibuster. Now, maybe they had this plan the whole time. They knew that it wasn't going to pass. Because didn't you say there was even 5 Democrats that, or 4 Democrats?
4 Democrats
that voted against, voted it down.
Right. So. And that, that's the thing too. Is, and Obama addresses this in his speech, is it wasn't the majority that voted against it, but at the same time, I think it's what you're saying is that these politicians know that it doesn't take majority, so even though they may or may not agree with something, to look good for their political life, they'll ride one side knowing that it's not going to get passed because they know these other people are going to hold it up.
Yeah, and this is the point in time where we need to kind of come up with a plan of action as a group of people that are for gun ownership, for the Second Amendment, on keeping this positive light on gun ownership. Because one good thing that has come out of this, gun ownership has shot through the roof. A lot of people who were thinking about buying a gun jumped on doing it because this
awareness has gone through the roof.
So this is not,
and even the existing gun owners. You see more training, more people jumping in.
I'll tell you what I hope.
Getting training classes.
What I hope comes out of this, and a good thing for me, is that now that this thing has been knocked down, and by no means am I saying it's over. And the way legislative things go in Washington, a defeat like this is a pretty good blow against that coming back in the short term. What I'm hoping is, because when all of this started, we saw the market in guns shoot through the roof, the availability of the guns cut down to zip. You can't find ammo. The price of anything you want to go, you're paying twice as much for. I have been wanting to buy a gun for a while now. I've got a carry permit. I've been trained. I know guns. I shoot with left hand, and we go out to the zombie ranch and shoot out there from time to time. But I've never actually owned an AR or anything like that, and I've always wanted one. Because I'd just like to have a few. I'd like to have a handgun at the house for protection. I'd like to have an AR just for a recreational target practice, and I would like to be able to pay a fair market price for it. And I just didn't see that happening with everything that was going on. So
I'm gonna go to a few gun stores this weekend, kind of see what's going on after all this stuff this week.
Well, just looking at the websites, the
people starting to pop back up.
Mm-hmm.
The Gun Owners Club and places like that.
And part of the reason for the ammo,
idiots that are still hanging on to the inflated prices that apparently they don't watch.
Well, they'll try to do that for as long as they can. That's just the way the market works.
Of people,
but they're going to try to move merchandise too. So.
And part of the reason for the ammo shortage was because people were scared of the gun bans, so they were stocking up. And back to what I was saying when we first started talking about that, this is the time. We have built a more positive image of gun owners through all this. People have come out of the woodwork on YouTube, on television shows, on podcasts, on everywhere, showing that gun owners are not wild, crazy, extreme, radical nuts that are ready to shoot anybody at the drop of a hat. We have fun with our guns. We use our guns for self-protection. We know how to utilize our guns if the stuff hits the fan and we have to use it for protection of our Second Amendment rights. But it's a positive thing. And to keep that feel going, people who have started these YouTube channels and shows and everything else, keep it going. Mm-hmm. Don't drop the hat just because, okay, we won. No, we're going to keep going. We're going to have fun with this show.
Well, we started this show before all this happened. It just so happened that when we started the show, the Sandy Hook thing happened. So, we'd planned on doing this before
the week
all
before,
this nonsense began anyway. So we're going to continue doing what we're doing. Hopefully, we get these politics out of it, because that's what we originally started.
You guys
this wasn't going to be a political show.
You guys have presented a really good positive image towards gun ownership and being able to responsibly own.
But the only way we're going to keep the government out of our hair is that we have to police ourselves. We have to be responsible gun owners when it goes to buying, when it goes to selling. We have to take that responsibility on ourselves. And the more people that start doing that, the less the government's going to, be stepping in. So when you go to sell your gun, be responsible and do as much checking on that person that you're selling it to as possible. If it's somebody you don't know, use your FFL. If you're not comfortable with somebody, go and have the background and say, look, I'm not going to sell you this gun until I do that. If you feel uncomfortable with the person, we can do that on our own. We don't need the government to come in and tell us that we need to do that.
Exactly. And one of the simple things that you and I both do is when we sell a gun, we take a picture of the person's driver's license. We let them take a picture of ours. We put it in our files for our own records. simple.
Ask for a
CYA things to do.
Got it.
If you, like you said earlier, if they've got a handgun carry permit and it's valid and it's not expired, you've got a very high percentage chance that they're a good law-abiding citizen. So
not a whole lot of criminals walking around with handgun carry permits.
No, it's not hard to do. Bill of sale, check the driver's license, check the carry permit. Document it for your own records if it ever does come back to you, and then you've got records right there that you can present. We have to police ourselves.
So our subject for the day is going to be kind of crazy and funny gun laws around our country. We've been doing some reading this week, getting ready for the show, and just seeing some absolute ridiculous laws out there. There's even one, was it D.C.?
Yeah.
Where in D.C., if you have a messy house, you can't own a handgun.
Read what it said, Cheap Shot.
Give me a second. I'll pull it up here. Here it is, District of Columbia. First of all, there's a list of what I'm looking at online here. There's a list of what guns are banned in that particular state, what the waiting period is, who is prohibited from owning a gun, and is there a law prohibiting firearms on or near school grounds in that state. And in the District of Columbia, the people that are banned from owning guns are drug addicts, convicted felons. If you have been convicted of soliciting prostitution or keeping body or disorderly house. And I thought,
and when he says
what was
body,
that word?
B-A-W-D-Y. Sorry, I can't pronounce it.
So basically a messy
means
or disorderly house.
An untidy house. So if you're untidy, you can't own a handgun in D.C.
I'm glad my apartment is not in the District of Columbia.
In Alabama, there is part of the having a short-barreled rifle or short-barreled shotgun, SBR. They have the usual stuff. Convicted of a crime, convicted of attempting to commit a crime, drug addicts, habitual drunkard, blah, blah, blah. Reasonable belief that an applicant has been convicted of a crime. Not documented. So just you may think.
If they just look seedy.
If they look seedy, you can't get an SBR.
So Yeager wouldn't be able to.
Banned.
Done.
I'm kidding you.
Oh, here's another one from District of Columbia. The weapons that are actually banned, they've got listed a slingshot is an illegal weapon in D.C.
I think, what?
So technically a rubber band is illegal.
Well, I guess if you
Because you can put a rubber
drag
band
between your fingers,
index finger and thumb,
that's a slingshot.
and then
as
it
far
becomes a
as-
slingshot.
You know what? I'm going to have to go against you guys. I think slingshot should be banned. I think I'm going to draw up legislation.
What are they good for?
I'm going to draw up legislation along with the legislation I'm drawing up on banning spoons because spoons made me fat. Yeah, I think it's important. Slingshots and spoons.
That's the same mindset that's going to end up banning pressure cookers and nails next.
And BBs and ball bearings.
Yeah.
And don't forget the carrying device. So backpacks are going to be banned.
And fertilizer blew up a place in Texas this week.
I think that was an accident, though. Have they?
Well, why not just go ahead and investigate? If you want to be on the side of safety, go ahead and ban it.
Well, it's from a fire, so then you got to ban fires.
Did you hear about that? Like
I haven't heard
4 miles away, it blew out windows.
Oh, yeah.
It was a 2.8 on the Richter scale.
Yeah.
They said, and the scary thing was, there was a junior high and a high school right next door. Thank God it was at night when it happened.
Golly.
Yeah. If it would have been during the day,
There's like, I don't know how many neighborhoods and houses, over 75 houses.
That's just
So, yeah,
that's a safety issue there. And there are a lot. And one of the things that I found in this listing in these state by state laws, a lot of these already address people with drug addicts or alcoholics or people with mental disorders. There are already laws on the books in the states that address, whether or not certain people are allowed to own firearms.
Those laws were already there. This was just saying that they were going to allow them to access the medical records to look at anybody that's ever had any kind of. There's a few states on here that it says if you've been convicted with a misdemeanor that you can't own a firearm.
Yeah, there was one state in particular I saw that on, but
So
I can't.
is running a stop sign a misdemeanor?
It just said misdemeanor as far as I can remember. I'll find it here in a second.
You know what? While we're at it, let's just throw in some crazy laws in general. What about that one you were telling me about earlier, Left Hand?
About in Alabama?
Yeah.
What was
It's
that?
illegal to play dominoes on Sunday in Alabama. It's also illegal to wear a fake mustache that causes laughter in church
Really?
in Alabama.
In Alabama.
We need to ban fake mustaches.
And bear wrestling matches are prohibited. Can't do that
Come
in Alabama.
on.
No.
Bear wrestling?
You know, some of the stuff you find when you're looking for something else on the internet tends to be pretty funny.
Putting salt on a railroad track may be punishable by death.
Wow.
By the way, we just want to make sure we verify that our source material is the internet, and of course everyone knows that everything you find on the internet is true.
Yes,
So.
the intranets. Oh, you can't own a rocket launcher in Georgia.
Oh, well, that
You know, we got
mark them off my list.
We got some silly laws just in general with the handgun carry permit in Tennessee because, like we said in the show before, our permit is a handgun carry permit. That's all it gives us.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
We can carry a handgun, but we can't carry a knife over 4 inches that has assisted open. But we can carry a handgun, but no knife.
Well,
a lot of other states have concealed carry weapons permits.
If I had my druthers, I'd rather carry a handgun.
You don't carry. You never carry a knife to a gunfight anyway. So,
Did you know that in Alaska, no child may build a snowman taller than himself on school property? So you have to go off school property.
Okay, Left Hand.
okay, this is in Maine. You cannot own a machine gun in Maine, and you can't have any armor-piercing ammunition in Maine. Which just sounds reasonable enough. But then when you
I don't
get
like
under
it, but
there's also no waiting period in Maine. But when it comes to who is actually being restricted from owning a firearm in Maine, a person who has been convicted of a misdemeanor.
So Maine was the one with the misdemeanor.
Jaywalking can prevent you from being able to own a weapon in Maine, apparently, if you take this on face value.
In Arizona, in Tombstone, Arizona, it's illegal for men and women over the age of 18 to have less than one missing tooth visible while smiling. That's a law in Arizona, in Tombstone.
Tombstone.
That'd never pass here.
I think we have the opposite law. You have to have at least one missing tooth.
It's a requirement.
or use blackout gum to go out in public.
Oh, my God. Again, our source is the intranet. So take these for what they're worth.
In Massachusetts, they specified specifically that aliens cannot own firearms. And I suppose that just covers the whole gamut of aliens. So
I think they may be talking about immigrants. They're a cheap shot.
It says alien, though. I'm just saying. You got to follow the letter of the law. I think that's putting undue pressure on law enforcement, though, don't you?
That's up to a court to decide.
In Hawaii,
what alien means.
In Hawaii, when it goes into the part about silencers, you're not allowed to use makeshift silencers, such as car mufflers. So you can't stick a car muffler on the end of your
I did see this under the Tennessee, and we are in Tennessee, and I saw on this list that silencers were on the banned list, and I thought we've been to some gun shops and things, and I've seen where they actually sell suppressors, and my understanding is aren't silencers and suppressors considered the same thing?
If you go through the proper channels and get the tax stamp, and Left Hand knows a little bit more about this because he has purchased a couple, right?
What's that?
Suppressors. The actual steps you have to go through in Tennessee to get a suppressor.
Because the list I'm looking at says that silencers are banned from ownership in Tennessee.
Well, which is awesome because then we're back to government misterminology. They're not silencers. They don't silence the gun. They just suppress the sound a little bit.
Right, and I understand that, but that's what made me wonder, is there a difference between what is considered a silencer or what is considered a suppressor? And I didn't think there was.
Same thing.
So,
and it is legal to own a suppressor in the state.
You have to go through a couple extra hoops to get it.
It's a more extended background check, FBI.
Waiting period and all that.
It's like a 6-month.
$200 tax stamp?
Yeah.
Yeah, $200 tax stamp.
That's what I thought. So this may not be the most up-to-date list we're looking at.
It's a more invasive background check.
Right.
There's some cool gun laws out there, too. Not so much crazy. Just the Kennesaw, Georgia. And I know with all the gun ban stuff the last few months, we've heard enough about it, but Kennesaw, Georgia requires every citizen that has not broken the law to own a gun. Now, you kind of walk a gray line.
Do they have a thing where they hand out guns?
No, they didn't hand out guns, but you have to own guns and the ammunition to utilize it. So if you have a rifle in your house and you don't have the ammunition, so
you're breaking the law.
You're breaking the law. Do they enforce it? No, they don't enforce it, but it's on the books. It was more of a statement because you're kind of towing the line there between, okay, do we want the government to even make us get guns? Because then you're back on what the government is mandating to you.
But I like the statement that it's making.
Yeah, it is.
I like the statement that it's making. It's saying that take responsibility for your own safety. Each person has has a personal obligation to take care of themselves.
I see.
And I think that's probably behind this whole, what we all try to, and what you guys do on this show is to promote, responsible gun ownership. And because gun ownership is more than a right.
I'm seeing another crazy look in Left Hand's eyes. I think he's got another whacked out law.
I think this should just go across the United States, and every state should have this. But in California, it is illegal to set a mousetrap without a hunting license. Because technically, isn't that hunting?
You're hunting game.
That's game. Small game.
Have you never been on one of our mouse hunt expeditions when we go Big South Fork over the winter and set out the mouse traps? You didn't ever go on any of those with us?
Mouse hunting?
Mouse hunting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They've got some really good traps. You can bait and put out the mouse traps. Sometimes you get rats or possums or something, and you have to throw them back. But yeah, I would bring home a string of them.
Rats? Mice?
I wish this was on video because you're looking at me like, what are you talking?
What the hell you're talking about?
I'm just waiting for a little sibling rivalry fight to break out.
I kept a straight face through all that too, by the way.
So you're making that crap up.
Yeah. I just thought
in Iowa. Funny. It says offensive weapons are banned.
Offensive weapons. I don't like that.
Oh my God! Never mind.
What are you doing with that pink?
Offensive weapons. I thought it was offensive. Like that offended me.
Is that offensive? Is that a pink 1911 you're carrying?
Why, yes, it is. And by the time you got that sentence house, you were shot.
Is an offensive weapon the same thing as an assault?
I don't know why. I mean, offensive weapons, machine guns, short-barreled rifle, shotgun, any weapon other than shotgun or muzzle-loading rifle. A cannon. Can't own a cannon in Iowa.
But it could be defensive.
Yeah, they use cannons to defend.
I wonder if that's a loophole. Like if you just say it's a defensive weapon, then
kind of like that knife loophole.
Yeah.
What are you using that knife for? If
Could
it's for
be
self-defense, then it's illegal. But if it's for
We're only using that weapon when it comes to a goal line
Emergency.
stand.
Or hunting.
How do they decide whether it's offensive or defensive?
that's what the courts are for.
And here's
the
another one
attorneys.
in Iowa that has that vague, if it looks like, if an issuing officer reasonably determines that the applicant constitutes a danger to any person. So you're going based on one man, one human being, which human beings are fallible and corruptible. I'm not saying these guys are, but it's possible. If he thinks you may pose harm to someone else, if he thinks, not documented proof, not any evidence, if he thinks, then you can be refused of owning a firearm in Iowa. That's pretty pathetic.
Yeah. You can't have an air gun in New York. Sorry. New York, you cannot own an air gun.
I don't think you can own anything in New York.
Yeah.
In Denver, Colorado, it is against the law to loan your next door neighbor your vacuum. Can't do it. You'll go to jail, no matter how dirty their floor is.
Denver's such a gorgeous place to have some crazy laws.
It's also illegal to mistreat rats in Denver. So would that mean Diane DeGette, it's illegal to mistreat her? Because she's a rat. Or Diana DeGette?
I don't know who you're talking about.
She's that stupid, made that statement about magazines. It said magazines are bullets.
Oh.
So if we ban magazines, then the people who have magazines now, once they shoot their magazines, then they won't be able to replenish them.
Right, I remember that.
Because you can't reload magazines.
She's a representative or something.
State representative.
State. Congressional?
Congressional.
Okay,
and then she says to the guy in the audience, the senior citizen, when he's asking, what am I to do if you're going to limit my magazine capacity if I have 3 guys breaking into my house? How am I supposed to defend myself?
How am I supposed to
citizen?
How do I divide those bullets up?
And she pauses for a second and she goes, well, the good news for you, sir, is that you live in whatever city, I guess it's Denver or whatever, and the police will be there within minutes.
Yeah, it's not going to happen to you. It'll never happen to you.
No, I mean, that's not what she's saying. She's saying,
well, that's basically what she's
the police are
getting
going to come and save your life.
Yeah,
which they're not going to.
You're okay.
And then as she's leaning back in her seat, as her smug, snooty little answer was, should be sufficient for him. Then she leans back and said, well, you'd probably be dead anyway.
Oh, well. Well, that's what happens when emotions get too...
Well, that's what happens when you got politicians that forget their place and that they are servants. They are not royalty.
I just think, when we get to a point where emotions start to overrule our better judgment on some of these issues, that's when we have to be very careful.
Well, there's no emotion there. It was just pure stupidity on her part.
It sounded like a lot of venom.
It was, if you watch the video, it's just snooty. It's just like, how dare you question me on my throne? I know what's best for you.
Yeah.
Don't question me.
It's kind of funny the amount, the number of different weapons that are specifically banned state by state, because I see a lot of machine guns being listed, a lot of silencers. They specify barrel lengths and things like that. Can't be shorter than this, can't be longer than this. A firearm or ammunition manufactured and designed for military purposes. Now that's getting pretty specific.
It's illegal in the state of Tennessee to use a lasso to catch a fish.
Well, I'm glad they put that on the books. It saves a lot of people from wasting their time out on the lake, doesn't it?
In Memphis, it's illegal to give any pie to a fellow diner.
Pie?
Mm-hmm. It's illegal to take any unfinished pie out of a restaurant.
So you can't get that to go, huh?
That's what it says in Memphis.
Oh, I'll have to remember that next time.
Fall into that trap.
I will not get my key lime to go next time I'm down there. A good thing to have on the books.
In Houston, it was illegal to sell Limburger cheese on Sunday. Also in Texas, it's illegal to shoot a buffalo from the second story of a hotel. You can't go barefoot without getting a special $5 permit in Texas. It's illegal to sell one's own eye in Texas.
You can't own a tear gas gun in South Carolina.
It's illegal to milk another person's cow in Texas.
According to this source, there are states vary on their laws prohibiting firearms on or near school grounds, in that in some states it's a felony and in some states it's a misdemeanor. So it varies from state to state as to how they're treating that subject.
I want to go to Virginia, because anywhere else you'd probably get a whole lot more jail time and punishment. But in Norfolk, Virginia, a woman may face a man may face up to 60 days in jail for patting a woman's derriere.
Well,
So the worst you could do is 60 days in jail for grabbing a woman's butt.
60 days
That's worth it.
depends on the butt. If you've been convicted of a DUI on 3 separate occasions within a 5-year period in Pennsylvania, you can't own a firearm. Or if you're the subject of an active protection from an abuse order, which is rather understandable. I can see that.
No way, no how in Virginia do they tolerate you spitting on seagulls.
No. In Virginia?
It's illegal. In Virginia. Can't spit on a seagull. In Oregon, dishes must drip dry. I bet dryer cells or dishwasher cells are pretty horrible in Oregon.
In Utah, illegal aliens are banned from owning handguns only.
It's illegal to be seen in public with the number 69 on any of one's clothing in Oregon. Are there any professional teams out of Oregon? I guess they got basketball, don't they?
Portland Trailblazers.
See if anybody's got 69 on their team.
Trailblazers.
We'll turn them in. Maybe we'll get a reward. In Myrtle Creek, Oregon, it's against the law to box with a kangaroo.
In Oregon?
In Myrtle Creek, Oregon.
Just in Myrtle Creek.
Just in Myrtle Creek, Oregon, it's against the law to box with a kangaroo.
They have an infestation
now you can go to Portland and you can box
marsupials
kangaroos all you want. They have an affinity for marsupials in Myrtle Creek.
I wonder how some of these things come about. That would be the thing I'd like to know is what's the history behind some of these laws? Because
I would say traveling some circuses and things like that back in the day, somebody probably got killed by a kangaroo in Myrtle Creek. So they outlawed kangaroos, put a ban on kangaroos.
Yeah, I think it would be fascinating to know the stories behind some of these.
In Stanfield, no more than 2 people can share a single drink. In Minnesota, it's illegal to sleep naked.
Because you'd probably freeze to death.
But out of all these ridiculous laws, here's one that actually would be useful, and it's in Wyoming. In Wyoming, in public theaters or places of amusement, it's illegal to wear a hat that obstructs another person's view. That should be nationwide.
What if you're 6'7"?
Well, if you're not wearing a hat?
I just, as a human, obstruct people's view.
Well, then you should be sitting in the back. You shouldn't be able to sit up front.
Straighten me out on one thing here. I'm looking through this list, and they're talking about which types of weapons are banned state by state, and a lot of these automatic weapons are specifically stated. Is that a state thing that has to be decided by the state whether an automatic weapon is banned, or is that a federal thing that all automatic weapons are banned in all states?
No, it's a state thing, and they're not banned. You can own an automatic weapon. You could have.
It varies from state to state. Some states have specifically on this list. Anyway, have said that you cannot own an automatic weapon.
If the state says that you cannot, then that's the state law. But the federal law is you can own one.
Okay.
You just have to go through, get the tax stamp, jump through get to class 3, fill out the form 4, all that stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, here's one that's kind of Mr. Obvious gun law. Massachusetts, you cannot purchase a gun if you are currently confined in a mental hospital or institution.
Oh, well, that keeps a lot of guns out of the mental hospitals.
That's pretty obvious. I didn't know. They must have the bookmobile that used to come around as a kid. Maybe they have the gun mobile that comes around to the mental hospitals, but you just can't get it there in Massachusetts.
The gunmobile is no longer allowed to stop here. So.
Well, I mean, you think that's bad. In Washington, all lollipops are banned.
What?
Every single one.
The state of Washington?
The state of Washington.
Lollipops?
They have an irrational fear of lollipops, I guess.
What if it's a coffee-flavored lollipop?
It's all. A-L-L. That means none.
Java flavored.
So does that mean, Starbucks awesomely delicious cake pops are illegal?
They'll have to get
even though Starbucks is
you might have to
basic?
take it to court and have them define if that's a lollipop
would get busted.
or not. But,
that would be a good appropriation of federal funds to take a lawsuit to get
to define lollipop.
Yeah, and get the lollipop.
I'm sure that has been done. I mean, if they've got that law, they used some tax dollars somewhere along the line to make that law.
It's
crazy. Now it's time for facts to fight the myths. Left hand, why don't you go first? Or actually, we got a guest. You want to go with the guest?
We'll let him go first.
Let's let our guest go first. Even though he's your brother, you can trumpet if you want.
All right, I'm going to trump him. I'm going.
Go.
Myth, dry firing, which you just did, damages weapons. That is an absolute myth.
Depending on the weapon, right?
The Marine Corps I mean, that's part of their training is dry firing their weapons. So, I mean, you hear these people say, I never dry fire my weapon, it will damage them. Really? The Marine Corps has made dry firing an art form with a week of boot camp devoted to it. Most of your competitors out there that you talk to highly advocate dry firing your weapon. I mean, even when we were with Ms. Sam, that was telling us, dry fire your weapon. Practice your draw, practice your shooting. But take the safety measures, make sure your ammo's secured, magazine's out. I mean, you do your proper safety checks. Dry firing your weapon's a whole lot cheaper than going out there and buying this expensive ammo right now, too. I mean, it's a lot cheaper to replace a firing pin than, 100 rounds of ammo, 1,000 rounds of ammo. So, dry firing damages weapons, a myth.
Except for the very, very, very old school, and even only some of these, like the old single action revolvers where the hammer or the firing pin is on the hammer, and some rimfire.
Well, I'm talking about
all modern guns. No, you're good. And if you're that scared and you're that paranoid, that's why they make snap caps. Throw some snap caps in there, dry fire. But there's really no need for them.
My fact to fight the myth is surrounding recent events and the subject of federal laws and state laws. How are our schools being protected by laws on the books or not on the books from people with firearms? One of the things that I've read is that the Supreme Court in 1995 struck down what was called the Federal Gun-Free Zone Act as an unlawful federal interference with the state's abilities to govern themselves. Now, this was a federal legislation that was enacted to control the legality of whether or not someone could have a firearm on school property. And that was struck down by the Supreme Court on the basis of this interfering with a state's right, being a states' rights issue. And one of the things that we've noticed looking over this list today of individual states and their gun laws and who can own it and what you can't have and who's not allowed to have a gun, is that most of these states, and in fact 49 states, have legislation directly or indirectly affecting possession of guns in and around schools. And some of these states have enacted their legislation since the Federal Act was overturned. Some have had such laws on their books for some time. In any case, all states now specifically ban possession of firearms on school grounds. So this is a law that's on the books in basically any state that you're in.
Unless you are a police officer.
Right. I mean, this is talking about just the regular citizen being. It's illegal to have guns on school grounds, so it's not something.
Now not in the state.
It's not in Tennessee.
It's maybe that's the 50th state.
Guns in Trump.
As of July 1st, the law is passed, but we don't get our laws put in until July 1st.
Right.
You can't take it in the building, but you can have it in your car on property.
So as long as you have your permit.
It's not an issue. What I'm saying is that the myth is maybe some people are under the preconception that based on recent events and things and the push to enact legislation and things is because there's no laws in place. And the fact is there actually are laws in place. Things that some of these nuts do they're already illegal. They Just having a firearm on school property is illegal. So
murdering someone is illegal.
Yeah, I mean it's not
stealing their firearms is illegal. Going to a school with stolen firearms that you just stole from somebody that you murdered is illegal.
The issue is not the issue then is not necessarily around
jackwagon shoot.
How we control who can have a gun and everything, but enforcing laws that are there and how to deal with the folks that aren't obeying the law in these cases and in others around various laws. But it's not an issue of banning a gun to solve a problem.
Well, my fact to fight the myth, it's kind of an obvious myth. It's one of those myths that, we've talked about a lot over the last few months with all the gun control issues. I'm going to throw it back to what happened this week. A bomb kills people, and they blame the bomber. Everything you see on the media right now is they're blaming a bomber. Yeah. They want to find out who did the bombing. They want to take care of him. They want to do all this stuff. They don't blame the bomb.
They're not blaming the pressure cooker.
They're not blaming the actual device. But when a school shooting happens, they blame the guns. Mm-hmm. they talk a little bit about the illness and the craziness of the kid or person, whoever does it, but they don't blame that person to where
it's the gun's fault.
It's the gun's fault. It's not the
person
actual
who pulled the trigger. Fault.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Yeah, we get what you're saying.
Yeah. So
it's a good point.
I just want to kind of talk about the inconsistency. I mean, I guess I don't know if it's a fact to fight the myth, but it's a little rant that could kind of go into the myths of the inconsistencies.
I think your myth.
Media.
I think your myth is sort of our innate tendency to think. Okay, we look at that equation very simply. If this person came into this place and opened fire on people and killed people with a gun, if we subtracted the gun from that situation, all of that killing wouldn't have happened. And I think that's what mentally we do as a way of saying, here's a quick fix to this. Here's a way to solve this problem.
It's a knee-jerk reaction.
It's a knee-jerk reaction, and it
try to appease a lot of people.
But once you think it through, and once you realize the complexities of the issue, and on a case-by-case basis, you realize that something like that, one legislative act of banning guns or banning magazines or doing this or doing that like that is not going to solve the bigger issue.
Well, it's a knee-jerk reaction based off of how the media has portrayed the quote-unquote gun culture in America. Yeah. And when I say media, I'm not just talking about CNN, Fox News, Headline News, CNBC, MSNBC. I'm talking about movies, TV, everything else. Gun culture in the media is a ultra-violent, super bad, horrible thing, or just ultimately extreme thing to where it's not all like that. I mean, self-defense and owning a handgun, I don't plan on shooting anybody. But if I have to, in defense of myself, my family, or my loved ones, I'll do it.
Well, it's not only that.
You don't see me running down the street going, yeah, screaming and shooting like they see in the movies.
Don't take that right away from me.
That you don't plan, but it's you don't want to either.
Exactly.
It's not a matter of that. It's sometimes you're put in a situation to do things that you don't want to do.
The self-defense side, when it happens, I hope to be trained and know what to do when it happens. But on the positive light of it, collecting, I love collecting. Target shooting, love target shooting. Hunting, love hunting. Those are all positive aspects of gun ownership, but they don't talk about that in the media. We've got some new listener feedback. We got a bunch of reviews on iTunes. Helped a little bit bumping us back up into the ratings. I don't know what the deal is with iTunes. I'm going to give them a call.
Political, man. It's just like everything else.
I think it is. Something's up there.
Further their career.
So, one day we pop up back in the top 10. 3 hours later, we weren't even the top 200. Mm-hmm. Then the next morning I woke up, we were number 11. And that night, we were 198. And then the other day, we were back up at number 6 for like an hour. There's a lot of shows in our network that are all over the place like that too. I don't know what it's a big formula that iTunes uses to rank their podcasts, but it's just kind of convoluted. I'm not even going to worry about it too much. Mm-hmm. So we've got the first one says Jaegerbomb 5 stars by Boost Pal. He said, enjoyed hearing you guys. You have a great show. It was especially cool to hear what a normal, nice guy Jaeger really is.
I got one from Facebook. Matt W. says, awesome show. Keep up the good work, guys.
Got another one here from iTunes. Says, great show by NOE 2003. Hey guys, just wanted to thank you for all the great information you put out every week. Been a listener since the first show, and I've got to say it's been getting better and better every week. Your show with James Yeager was awesome, and I'm glad you guys brought him on. We're all very passionate about this gun ban issue, some more than others. I understand him, and I don't hold a grudge against him. I was wondering if you guys could do a show in the future about affordable red dot optics. I would love an aim point, but those are pretty pricey. Maybe some ideas on some affordable optics and magnifiers. Thanks again for all you guys do for the cause. Keep up the great work. Actually, NOE 2003, we do have something like that planned. It'll be after NRA, though.
That's another Facebook. Seth W. says, great show, but you almost lost me when I heard Yeager say you could trust your life to M&P and Glock's days are numbered. I unfortunately am forced to carry a M&P and would give my left edit arm for my Glock back. We have had 3 recalls on the magazine so far, and not one time have I been on the range that at least 2 people lose mags on a draw because the mags aren't seating properly. Some could be operator error, but not that my. Some could be operator error, but not that many times. I also carry an M&P rifle. First AR I've owned operated that you can't put a fully loaded 30 mag in on a closed bolt. I've had Bushmaster, Armalite, and now Wyndham, and never once had that problem. Smith has a long way to go before they take out Glock. I know guys that are carrying Glock backups because I want to know at least one of my guns will work. That's in quotes. I know everyone has an opinion on these guns. I'm just speaking from firing hundreds, maybe thousands of rounds and carrying this paperweight daily, not to mention lower mag capacity. I would never own one of these personally. Smith makes great revolvers and should stick to what they do right. Now I'll get off my soapbox. Keep up the good work, guys. Love the show.
I'll just throw out a little disclaimer, an official Talking Lead disclaimer. Talking Lead's viewpoint on different brand names of different guns and which are better than others. We love all guns.
Well, and this guy's just talking from personal experience. So he's giving his experience. This is one person's experience that he had. And that's his opinion. And he's entitled to it. And I don't mind sharing it on our show.
No, I'm just letting him know because he said you almost lost us when Yeager said that. We love all guns.
Well, I don't think we lost him. I think that probably got him wanting to listen more, actually.
We're going to have all kinds of crazy viewpoints as this show goes along. We're not quitting anytime soon. So
you guys are no strangers to controversy.
No,
funner that way.
At the same time, when somebody's got an opinion like that, and I don't know this guy personally, but it sounds like he's got some real life experience with that particular model of gun. So,
and I've never shot an M&P handgun except for an M&P 22. Everybody's gonna like for instance, Yeager hates 1911s. I got mine. I love this sucker. This thing is awesome.
I liked it too, but at the same time, I didn't like it enough to want to go out and buy one. I thought it was a good shooting gun, but just for my own personal taste, I'm not to that point of the 1911 just yet, I guess.
So we got another one from iTunes called it The Porsche of Podcast, 5 stars, by Herber 1911A1.
Porsche or Porsche?
Porsche. Well, in Tennessee we call it Porsche.
Call it porch.
It's a Porsche.
Give me one of them porches.
I think you call it a Porsche. You call her a Porsche. I think that's how it works.
He says it's a combination.
I don't call her anymore.
He says it's a combination of Skinner's Freebird plus Die Hard plus Animal House, which is a great compliment for where I come from.
Food fight!
I dare you to listen once and not be hooked. Interviews with the likes of U.S. Army Special Forces, James Yeager, as well as the Jackwagon of the Week segment is hilarious.
And now Call of Duty expert, Cheap Shot.
I just want to tell you guys I have really enjoyed being on here today. You guys have a fun thing going. I'm glad you're both doing this, and it's just a lot of fun being here.
Well, we just have you on because Artist and Tony turned us.
I know. It was you had dead air to fill and an extra microphone, and you let somebody come just walk in here. I mean, what kind of?
Well, Left Hand said you could fill dead air pretty easily.
Yeah, well, I can't. Don't get me started.
No, but Artist and Tony will be our guest next week, the winner of the AR-15 contest, beauty contest. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, like us on Twitter, or vice versa. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Check out our website, www.talkinglead.com. Also, don't forget that the Firearms Radio Network is our bandwidth sponsor for the show. Check out all the other podcasts on Firearms Radio Network at firearmsradio.tv. Been a great show, guys. Thanks for coming in. Cheap Shot.
Ho.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, EDC check.
I've got a today I am carrying an old fashioned Smith & Wesson 38 Special.
The old police revolver.
Yeah.
And don't muzzle us.
Sorry.
The old police revolver.
Oh, very old. Don't dry fire this.
No.
Fire pins on the hammer.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Lefty.
So you got
but yeah, and then I'm also carrying.
Oh no.
Yes.
Say that.
I felt special.
I'm carrying the Logitech.
He got it for Christmas.
Oh, okay.
What do you call this thing?
It's Tool
Logic.
Tool Logic. Yes.
Logitech. He's talking about like a video game headset.
Yeah, sorry. wrong subject. The Tool Logic with the
I would say it's
flashlight option.
Yeah, I would say it's genetic, but now it's something else.
And it's got the belt clip, and it's got.
He's got a rape whistle too.
He's got a rape whistle.
All right, Zeke. Is that all you got?
That's all. That's all I'm carrying.
Well,
Zeke, what do you got?
I've got my handy dandy new little 1911. Smith & Wesson Performance Center Custom. Earlier I had my 357 Taurus 605 on my ankle, and now I am officially part of the group.
Welcome to the family.
I have got this little handy-dandy birthday present.
Oh, looky there.
That I got from my buddy Left Hand here.
Join the club.
And it is a Tool Logic knife with a flashlight.
Flashlight?
Yes. You can pull the flashlight out, and you got a sparker.
You got the spark?
Comes with a couple of accessories where I can magnetically hang the flashlight up, and then a knife sharpener.
Pick up your tacks or whatever.
Yeah, there you go. And I got to do it, don't I?
You got to do it. You're not in the club unless you do it.
Okay.
What else has it got?
It's got a rape whistle.
All right, so tell them about when we were at the ranch, the Talking Lead Ranch.
Right.
We were prepping.
Oh, these things are so stinking sharp out the box.
They are good knives.
We took it out and we were prepping. You know, for YouTube videos, you can't have any copyrighted material in the video. So we're taking the wrappers off of the 2-liter bottles.
Yeah.
I go to cut the wrapper off of it. I barely touched the bottle, and this thing sliced right into plastic. Exploded everywhere.
All over it.
I had orange Dollar General brand soda all over me. It was crazy. But this thing is sharp as can be, right out the box.
It'll cut you.
Thank you, Left Hand. I really liked it.
Yeah, that was nice.
I've actually been carrying this more than my SOG since you gave it to me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Well, not more. I've been carrying this only, not my SOG.
It's surprising. I mean, it's a comfortable little knife. I mean, it in your hand, it feels good.
Light's bright.
You know, got a quick blade to action.
It does.
So,
it's a handy carrying knife, and it's multifunctional. It's got a lot of uses.
It's very sturdy. Also,
it's got your little flashlight if you ever drop something in the car or trying to get in the door or something. You're got a little light there. And, of course, you got your bobby whistle if you ever need it.
You're good to go. What you got, Left Hand?
Got the Glock 2240 on the hip with the Crimson Trace and the Black Hawk holster.
Nice.
Got the Walther PPS 9mm on the ankle.
You realize since I shot that thing, I've been looking. I mean, I've found a bunch of them, and I've been so tempted. I'm saving up for a shotty.
Yeah, just like you were going to get a shotty, but then you ended up getting the 17 or the 7mm.
Oh no, that one wasn't that expensive.
The Remington 700.
Yeah.
What kind of shotty you want to get?
I want a Benelli Vinci.
Benelli.
And then I've also got.
Oh yeah, the newbie.
Yeah, I got a newbie. I've got a neck knife. I've been carrying it for the last probably week and a half. I've never had a neck knife before.
What is that?
This is a cold steel.
Strangest looking little. Oh, okay.
Double agent.
He's already killed somebody. Look at the blood on there.
Yeah.
It was one of those zombie gnomes.
He actually stabbed the. If y'all have seen the YouTube video, he stabbed the paint can that he shot. So there's some red paint all over his knife.
Yeah, I left it on there.
It looks cool.
Oh yeah.
So. But this thing is, it's very sturdy. It's extremely sharp right out of the box. I've cut wood. I've cut metal with it.
Now, when you say cold steel, that's the name brand, right? Is it a type of steel too, or?
I don't know exactly what steel this is, but no, that's the company name, Cold Steel. Double Agent is the name of this neck knife. It's a little larger than your typical, what you would think would be a neck knife. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't have huge hands, but I have small hands either.
That grip is pretty cool.
It worked perfect for me when I grabbed it too.
Yeah, and it's got the index finger and the pinky finger holes where you can get a good positive grip on it.
Makes it great tactical.
Yeah, I mean, just tactical, just everyday practical use. Like I said, I've cutting metal with it. I've cut corrugated plastic. I've cut wood, and it has not lost its edge.
If it's just you and that and the bear, you're
one little bit, and it comes with a nice little Kydex
Not
sheath.
by much.
Not by much, but still,
improved.
if that's all you had, then at least you had that.
I'm really digging it, and I've been wearing it, in my everyday.
You can't even when you showed it to me the other day, I didn't even know you had it on.
You didn't know I had it on. It doesn't show through the shirts or anything, so it fits real good right there, and it's real easy to get to. So
yeah, I didn't know you had it. Cool.
I'm digging that.
That's cool.
That. And then of course I've got my
handy dandy
Tool Logic with the flashlight.
I feel like
Fire
we should
starter.
all open them and then do like a three-way little cling.
And
with
let's all do the rape whistle together in unison on 1, 2, 3.
Wow. We apologize for all the blown eardrums out there.
And the rape whistle.
Police cars, lights will be coming shortly.
So it is my mission in life to equip everyone with
A tool logic. It's a nice knife. I like that thing.
It is.
All right. As always, left hand, keep your loved ones close.
And keep your firearms closer.